Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming to you from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Joining me in studio today, I got Ray Ora.
Hey.
Jonathan Voiko's here.
Morning.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for joining us and making this little show part of your day. Here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a bunch of predetermined topics. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to be doing the most important thing, which is taking your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, comment, question, criticism, critique, observation, whatever that you'd like us to address, go ahead and use our tip link that you can see right here at
Not that one.
that one. www.streamelements.com/John Campea/tip. And here's the good news too. You can use that tip link anytime, 24 hours a day. So if at 2 a.m, an idea for a question hits you, you can go ahead and use the tip link and send it in then as well. And as long as your comment or question is appropriate for us to address on the show, we'll address it here on the show. All right, guys. That down. Let's not waste any time and jump right into it, shall we? And let's get things started with this. Doesn't look like Mike Colter, aka Luke Cage, will be joining the MCU. Now, of course, ever since they announced that they had changed directions and decided to make Daredevil, the same Daredevil that was in Netflix. Because remember, for the longest time, the Daredevil we were going to get in the MCU was not in fact the same Daredevil from Netflix. It wasn't until a little bit later on. I mean, they were going to use Charlie Cox, the actor. Yes, they were going to use Vincent D'Onofrio, but they were going to be different and brand new iterations of the characters. But then they halted production on the show when they were pretty much done, scrapped most of it, and decided, you know what, we're going to change directions. And now they are the same ones from Netflix. Well, we know John Bernthal is going to be in there too. But one of the characters that some people have speculated and talked about is, what about Luke Cage? Mike Colter. Now, look, I'm going to tell you this. There were, 2 seasons of Luke Cage?
Yeah.
I liked half of one of them.
Right?
Like the first half of season 1, when Mahershala Ali was in it as Cottonmouth.
Yep.
I really liked the show, first half of season 1. Kind of fell apart for me after that. And then the second season started pretty good, but it also, I didn't find it to be very good. But none of that was the fault of Mike Colter.
No.
That devilishly handsome son of a bitch. This guy is so good looking, it's completely unfair to the rest of us who are men. It is just not fair. That guy is stupid good looking. I mean, it just is. It makes me feel insecure. Not going to lie. Mike Colter, you make me insecure. That being said, a lot of speculation around about whether Colter will come and join the MCU as well. And well, it doesn't really sound like it. When he was interviewed recently, this is what Mike Colter had to say when he was asked about maybe joining the MCU as Luke Cage. He said this: "Only if it doesn't affect my schedule in a way that I can't do another season of Evil." I mean, that's of course his current show. I mean, I would totally entertain a good script and idea that made sense, but I don't stay up at night thinking about it, nor do I recall it unless somebody brings it up. But I enjoyed my time. I don't look in the past. If something comes up, great, we'll talk about it. But right now, I'm past it. Not exactly. Here's the thing. We don't expect actors to come and jumping and skipping and saying, oh yeah, I mean, I would totally do it again. Not necessarily all the time. He was kind of diplomatic about it, but when he says things like, I don't even think about it, I don't recall it unless somebody brings it up to me, and I'm past it. None of that sounds...
This dude's playing hard to get.
Yeah, maybe he's just playing really hard to get.
I don't even think about her. And I only think about her if someone brings her up.
And when you're that good looking, you can play hard to get. I mean, he's just... It sounds pretty cold, but it sounds like they're done. And look, while I didn't like the Luke Cage show, I thought he was a great Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Now, look, the MCU is already a place that's kind of overcrowded. I agree with that. It's an overcrowded place, and maybe you don't need a Luke Cage. But if they were going to have Luke Cage, I would really like it to be Mike Colter again. And, just the fact that you are now saying that Daredevil from Netflix is the same Daredevil that's here now.
Right.
I mean, it would kind of need to be him. So I guess the only play here, my only assumption, and I might be wrong, is that they're not going to have him. They're not going to have Luke Cage in the MCU. Jessica Jones is still up in the air, I suppose.
Maybe it is a matter of like we want him, but we know it's going to be conflict with evil. We can write him in later,
maybe
in a couple years.
But you would think. My guess is, and I could totally be wrong about this. You would think that if that were the case, he would say something along the lines of, I would love it. I was a great joy playing that character. The idea of going back to him would be great. And, I'm currently working on a show I'm really enjoying, but sometime down the line, boom, I'd love to do it. But again, when he says things like...
Yeah, it sounds like he has a bad taste in his mouth from the experience.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When he says, I'm over it, I don't think about it, I don't recall it.
He went through some like personal healing for this.
I mean, okay.
It sounds like.
Or...
Yeah.
And I'm just pure speculating
Sure.
here. Is it a little bit of being upset that he hasn't been asked back?
Yeah, could be.
At this point.
Well, that's why I was saying, like, I said hard to get, but it wasn't really what I meant. It meant, like, kind of acting like you don't even care. You don't even think about her.
Yeah.
Only if someone brings her up, but you are.
Like,
I don't know.
Hey, did you get the invitation to Bobby's birthday party?
I don't even think about Bob.
I mean, you know what? I'm busy that weekend.
I obviously think it has to do with maybe he's heard how it's like to work on a Disney Plus series. Maybe like the commitment that Marvel expects from an actor when they sign up.
He's gotten that quasi even through Netflix.
I mean, but the Netflix one, it was less Kevin Feige involved. Yeah. I mean, if he's gonna deal with Kevin Feige, you know how he wants to.
Actors don't really deal with Kevin Feige. Directors do.
But they do expect you to sign up for if you're doing a series like a whole year.
Well,
or
sure,
2 years.
But he did that in Netflix too, right? He did Luke Cage season 1, Luke Cage season 2. He did Defenders.
Yeah, maybe that's why he doesn't.
So you think maybe he's over it?
Yeah.
I just think it's too much of. He wants to do other things.
Maybe
and it's like hard to fit a Marvel project.
He wouldn't be the first Marvel star that's been like, this was great. I love my experience. I love the access it gave me, but I want to do other things.
To be honest, I would want to see him in a movie instead. Like
like a Luke Cage
little
movie?
part in a not a full Luke Cage movie, but like
as a part of an ensemble.
Yeah, it's ensemble. Like maybe bring him in, but other than that, a series. I think that time is gone. I think a Luke Cage led series.
It doesn't even sound like he's coming into the MCU at all as Luke Cage.
Yeah,
that's
I
the
don't
thing.
think so.
I don't know. Listen, I would love to see him back, but if they don't, they don't. Question is for you guys. What do you think? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? We are only about 2 weeks away from the brand new Star Wars series, Star Wars Acolyte. And a brand new clip has come out that, quite frankly, is 4 times better than any trailer they put out so far. Let's give it a little bit of background on this. So a number of years ago, during that infamous and famous Disney shareholder call, they announced that they were doing Star Wars The Acolyte. And other than at that same event, they announced Shogun. Other than Shogun, nothing else, not Fantastic Four announcement, nothing else got me as excited about The Acolyte. To me, the idea of this show and what it could be was amazing to me. Then we found out that the showrunner of Russian Dolls was going to be showrunning. Russian Dolls is great. Having the showrunner from that come in to do this, fabulous, right? All's good. And I've been super excited for this. And then the trailers dropped. And I'm not going to say the trailers were bad, okay? I'm not saying the trailers were bad. But to me, they were underwhelming. You know, they did not move the needle for me at all. Plus, in this what I had made up in my own head, admittedly, like this dark world, an underground world of an acolyte, it seemed very clean and shot in such a way that it felt very midday afternoon soap opera, you know, frame rate and everything like that. And nothing about it really appealed to me much.
Everything was on the nose to me. Like the dialogue was just all on the nose.
It was exactly that. And I understand using that a little bit in a trailer, but it just, again, nothing about it made me excited. And I found it very disappointing. Now, granted, just a trailer. I've seen trailers to shows like Arcane, Harley Quinn, that I thought were boring and looked stupid, and I'd had no interest in the show, and then I ended up loving the show. Hopefully that's the case with The Acolyte. But one of the things I said was, I think they really need to drop a clip.
Yeah.
Well, they dropped a clip, And I don't know if you got any screenshots of it there, Jonathan, but they dropped a clip for the Acolyte. And I'll tell you what, it looks so good. And it's really dark though, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but
that was the problem. I couldn't. Everything I found was like that.
it's a
Something
very simple little shot and scene of a master battling his old apprentice.
right.
Very simple, very straightforward. Not a lot you had to. We don't have context for it or anything. And I'll tell you what. First of all, I'm going to make a bold statement. Although I think if you think about it, nobody will disagree with me. I have never seen a better hand-to-hand combat sequence in Star Wars ever. This is the best hand-to-hand combat sequence I've ever seen in Star Wars. Not that there's been a ton of it, right? There hasn't been a whole lot of it.
Yeah, it's usually behind a blade, a saber, or blasters. So
Yeah, exactly. So it looked good. I, like many of you guys at home, grew up flipping on Channel 47, where I was up in Canada, and watching weekend afternoon kung fu films, man. Shaolin versus Llama, baby. And the style and the techniques
yeah,
totally fit into that. And I'll tell you the other thing I like. I don't know why, but ever since I was a kid, whether it's Rocky V or whether it's something like this, watching the old master beat the ass of the upcomer,
just not even trying. Like
not even trying.
Yeah.
It's like, child, who do you think I am? And it's just so casually dominating the crap out of the old apprentice.
Yeah.
There's something about that I
mean,
really dig.
If he wanted to kill her, she would have already been dead,
In the first 5 seconds.
and she knew that. I mean, even it was very subtle, but there's that scene where she swipes for his saber and
Yep.
just misses it, but she didn't just miss it.
No, I mean,
He literally already foresaw that swipe and was just an inch away.
yeah, because he wanted to
Yeah.
just be an inch away,
Yeah.
right? He totally controlled it. Now, but then it does offer at least a little bit of intrigue, right? It's simple line of dialogue where he says, "You're not using your weapon. Why?" So, as a clip, it gave us a really great sense of a combat scene, and who knows, maybe that'll be the only good scene in the entire series.
Yeah.
But so it gives us a little clip of a combat scene, and then introduce a little bit of a question.
Right.
You know, like, okay, there's something more going on here than just good guy fighting bad guy. So I thought it was a very, very good choice of a clip to show. I hope it's not the best clip of the entire series, but I've got to give credit where credit is due. As somebody who has been pretty much dumping on the marketing for Acolyte up until this point, I got to give credit where it's due. This was a very good clip to release. And it's the first thing they've put out. Oh, I also like the poster. The poster with the lightsaber with the blood stained dragon behind it. That was pretty, I'll give it that. That was pretty good too. But this is the first real piece of marketing they've put out that has actually increased my excitement level for the show. Because they failed to do it up until now. Now, I'm not saying now all of a sudden I believe Acolyte is going to be a great show. I'm not saying that. I hope it is. But at least this clip gave me a little bit of hope. Because I personally think that whereas the trailers have been pretty poor, this has just been badass. And I really like what I saw there. Ray, you're not like a guy who's like been dying to see the Acolyte. So as kind of just somebody watching this, what did you think about the clip?
I thought the action was great, but like the only thing that's ever bothered me about the Acolyte is it doesn't seem like we're taken to another place. Like Star Wars is supposed to be, we're supposed to put ourselves in that environment, right? Like,
right.
And it always just feels like, oh, they're just on a set. They're just like you said, it's too clean. There's like the Acolyte. I expected something grungy. The place they were fighting at kind of reminded me of like a cyberpunk punky looking place with the neon lights.
It
almost looks like the same place where the robot got with the business card. Like it's sort of like,
it's very standard Star Wars location.
Which I'm still not jumping from that and then like the old towns like in Tatooine. It's still a transition for me to actually, get used to the setting. But like other than that, that's nitpicky. The action itself was good. I liked it.
Yeah,
I really liked it.
Again, I'm not saying this is the greatest clip in the world. I'm just saying for the first time, I'm like, oh, this piece of Acolyte marketing was actually pretty good. I liked it. So anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Did you like the shot? Did you not like the sequence? Maybe you're somebody who I've heard from a number of people who actually like the trailers, and that's cool too. But whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, let's go on to this, shall we? Speaking of things I'm not really all that interested in nor all that excited about, we've got and I got the wrong thing there. There we go. Nope. I guess we're missing it altogether. So anyway, speaking of things I'm not terribly interested in, there's a new Beetlejuice movie coming out. And of course called Beetlejuice. Now I'm one of these people that for those of you who watch the show, I like the first Beetlejuice. I think back to Beetlejuice fondly. But it's not the cult classic to me. It's not like, oh my God, Beetlejuice. And while I thought there maybe could have been a sequel, when they announced that they were finally doing it, I thought this is far too little, far too late. They should have made this sequel 15 years ago. But I'm in the minority because there are a lot of people who are very excited about Beetlejuice. They put out the first trailer. A lot of people got excited about it. I thought it was whatever. But then we went to CinemaCon, and Michael Keaton comes out on stage with Tim Burton and most of the cast, and they talk about and they show us this big presentation. And I got to say, it at least piqued my interest a little bit more. And now today they have put out a brand new trailer. Brand new trailer for Beetlejuice came out today. A lot of it consisting of footage that we saw at CinemaCon, but even some stuff in it that we had not. And, it's kind of a little bit for me like the situation with the Acolyte stuff. Like, I hadn't been excited for Acolyte. They dropped this clip. I'm like, okay, now you're starting to get my interest. I think what they showed us at CinemaCon and this trailer actually piques my interest a little bit more.
Okay. I was wondering because I watched it. I'm like, I don't know if John's going to be feeling this trailer.
Yeah, now listen, don't get me wrong. Yeah. I'm not jumping up and down out of my chair excited about it. It's not like now this is a top 5 most anticipated movie of the year for me personally, although I know it is for a lot of other people, and that's great. But I gotta say, the one knock on it I have right now is it feels just like the first one being done over again.
Mm-hmm. A little bit.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like, oh, they're going to kind of follow the same pattern, but only this time, what they showed us at CinemaCon that wasn't in the trailer, Monica Bellucci, oh my God, Monica Bellucci. Monica Bellucci apparently is hunting Beetlejuice. So there's a little bit of a different angle on this one too, where who knows, maybe Winona Ryder and Jenna Ortega and her mother, they have to try to save Beetlejuice. I mean, I don't know what direction they're going to go with this. I don't. But you know what? As somebody who's not the biggest Beetlejuice fan in the world, I like this trailer. Jonathan, you were kind of probably more into Beetlejuice than I was. What did you think about it?
So there were parts of it where I was like, okay, this feels like it's almost like made for a series and not for a movie. Just like when they were showing the cast and like Michael Keaton kind of like winks at the camera. There was just the way it was shot a little bit. There were definitely moments that took me back to the original, so I had that nostalgia feeling. But I actually am kind of excited for this because here's my thing, and I say this for every comedy. I'm going to say this for Naked Gun when it comes out with Liam Neeson, even though I'm really excited for it.
And who else? Who else is in Naked Gun?
Oh no, I forget.
Paul Walter Hauser.
Paul Walter Hauser, of course. I should have just guessed that.
That should be the answer anytime that question comes up.
That I guarantee you that trailer's going to suck. It's probably going to suck because comedy is very hard to showcase in a trailer.
Yeah, it is.
So if you don't have the context of the scene and what's going on,
yeah, because comedy's all about context, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to lay that in.
You're just giving punchlines to something you have no context for. So I totally forgive it for that. I'm really looking forward to this movie. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think people are going to have fun going back into this. We're going to remember why we liked Beetlejuice in the first place. I think his nemesis looks a little bit like Corpse Bride. But again, that's Tim Burton, right?
That's Monica Bellucci in there, yeah.
So
he looks great, by the way.
I think this is going to be a fun return for Tim Burton. So I'm looking forward to it personally.
I like the way those two looked. Whoever is going after Beetlejuice.
Oh, that Monica Bellucci and Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe looked incredible.
Willem Dafoe looked, by the way, he was at CinemaCon too, and he was like positively giddy about this movie. He had a lot of fun doing it.
There was a little bit, and so
no,
just real quick, there was a little bit of Wes Anderson feel to it. And I
Yes.
kind of like that. But go ahead.
There's something. I'm not the biggest Tim Burton fan, but then when he comes out with a movie, the style is just it's unforgettable. I think
Yeah.
and sometimes it's actually refreshing from what we normally get in like these. I don't even know if you can even call it a certain type of movie. This type of movie.
It's like a horror comedy, but it's not. It's his own. All of his movies, you're right, are his own thing.
Yeah. I love the uniqueness of Tim Burton, and people who are Tim Burton fans, of course, they love him. And then all of us are familiar with it. But then when a big movie comes out, he releases something like this trailer, it's refreshing to me. It moved the needle up for me a little bit, and I'm not the big Beetlejuice fan either. So this trailer worked for me, is what I'm saying.
All right, guys, question is for you. What did you think about the new Beetlejuice trailer? Listen, as somebody who's not super excited about the movie, I gotta say I liked it. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, that down. Let's move on to this, shall we? Do I have it now? Yes, I do. Today for me is a very key, and I'm going to say it low key, game day. I've got 2 films I'm going to go see today. Game day. ASMR game day. We're going to go see 2 movies today. Going to go see Garfield as soon as we're done this thing. Whoop. I don't know why, but we're going to go see Garfield because Ann wants to see it. As soon as the show's done, heading out to the theater to go see Garfield. Then after that, going to go see Furiosa.
Yeah.
Now, Furiosa got really solid first reactions. The basic idea of the first reactions with Furiosa was it's intense, it's gritty, it's great, little thin on story, not necessarily better than Fury Road, but like a really good solid film. Then the full reviews came out, and the last I checked, and Ray, you can correct me, but the last I checked on Rotten Tomatoes, Furiosa was holding an 85%. So maybe it's still there, maybe it's up a little bit, maybe it's down a little bit. Well,
88%.
88%, so it's gone up since the last time I checked. So the question is going to be now, are people going to go to it? Is the concept of another Mad Max film something that's going to bring people out? Have the trailers done a good job of getting people excited and wanting to see this movie? And
this is impressive. 170 reviews, 88%.
80%. No, it's a good number,
That's
man.
Very impressive.
It's a strong number. So now we have our opening weekend box office projections. And we're going to look at how it compares to Mad Max Fury Road. So take a look at this. So right now they're saying their guess is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is going to make $40 million. And I should have an asterisk on that. We'll get to the asterisk in a second. $40 million projected. Now, Mad Max Fury Road, that came out back in 2015, had an opening weekend of $45 million. So short of what the last one. And by the way, Mad Max Fury Road, it made a little bit of money, but it wasn't a box office juggernaut. It made under $380 million worldwide on a $150 million budget. So good enough to break even. It didn't do much beyond that. So I think they were probably hoping that Furiosa, and listen, right now, a $40 million opening is at the top end of where movies are opening right now, for a lot of them at any rate. But it gets a little bit worse when we look at this graphic again. Because that, like I said, that 40 million should have an asterisk beside it, because the 40 million they're projecting is for a long weekend, not the 3-day weekend. Because remember, whenever we get the official opening weekend numbers, it's the 3-day weekend. You'll get the long weekend number, but the actual official opening weekend number is going to be the 3-day, which means if this does come in at 40 million for the long weekend, the actual 3-day weekend is going to be smaller than that.
Yeah.
So probably like 32 to 35 million, I'm guessing, somewhere in there. Now, of course, sometimes we've had situations where opening weekend projections, look, 9 times out of 10 opening weekend projections are pretty close to what it turns out. But every once in a while, a movie will come out that'll come way under projections, and a movie will come out that goes way over projections. And maybe this one will be the one that goes way over projections. But it doesn't look like a lot of people are wanting to run out and see this follow-up to Fury Road. And I got to ask the question, and why? I mean, people like Anya Taylor-Joy. People love Chris Hemsworth. People love Fury Road. But again, I think when people think about Fury Road, they think of it as it was this big, massive hit. And in actuality, it wasn't. I think it was successful, but it was not a big, massive hit. So I don't know if it's just that people are over the IP. People don't care as much about Mad Max anymore. I don't know if it's been the marketing for the movie, but it doesn't seem like a lot of people are excited about it. Anyway, Jonathan, you've been seeing, like, where's your excitement level? Are you looking forward to seeing this movie?
I'm seeing this. I'm not going opening weekend, but I am going Monday. This guy is like a poet, man. How do you not see? This is a poetry of action. How do you not go see a movie like this? I mean,
With
look at
George
this.
Miller.
I don't even know. I'm guessing this is young Furiosa, and she's being, absconded by this. That could be your mom. I have no idea what the story
I'm
is.
gonna guess that's her mom. I don't know that for sure yet.
But either way, I mean, come on, dude. This looks incredible. I love the Mad Max world. Look at this motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
I think I read something where there's a number of motorcycles in the movie. And I think Chris Hemsworth said that he actually got to keep one of the motorcycles.
That thing is amazing.
That looks awesome. That looks so good.
I really hope we're not hitting a trend that started with The Fall Guy, where it's pretty good movies, but they just don't make money.
But that always happens, right?
Right.
That's always, there's like, we can go in every single year where some really good movie. But first of all, we should say, unlike Fall Guy, which I've seen, and I know is a really good movie, I haven't seen Furiosa yet. I don't know if it's good, but I hope it is.
There's going to be car action like in Fall Guy. I don't know
it's going to be better than that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something that's trending right now. I say trending if I'm on social media, but I'm going to use that term, trending, as in if that's not what people are like jonesing to go see. Like, I don't know if this is in people's.
This is going to be a top tier action. It's going to be great directing, great acting, great cinematography, great action. Like, the story may be like very basic. I've never really seen a Mad Max saga movie that had a complex story.
Yeah, none of them are Shakespeare.
You didn't go there for that.
Right.
I'm looking forward to this. I'm seeing this in Dolby, not IMAX, because I want to go for the sound. So I'm going for that blasting sound in the Dolby theater.
And again, I hate to bring it up because I know everybody's going to want to recoil about this, but how much of this is just that not that many people care about Fury Road.
Yeah.
Like, to a lot of cinephiles, Fury Road is this masterpiece, right? I love the movie. I think it's great. But for a lot of cinephiles, it's like, that's a masterpiece film. But it's almost kind of like a weird Mandela effect, where I think when you talk to a lot of movie fans, they think that Furiosa was a big, giant, massive hit.
And I think I was estimating between 45 and 40. And I think if it hits even 40, because of what you're saying, that's actually pretty good for what it normally tracks after, like, worldwide box office.
I got it at 38.
I'm thinking when you actually get the actual 3-day number.
Yeah. I'm thinking,
you know what? Let me see it today, see how full my theater is, and then I'll have a guess. But I mean, 38 might be high. Hopefully it's not. We'll see. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Are you excited for Furiosa? Maybe you're like a bunch of people who, like, I don't really care about the world of Mad Max. Whatever. Maybe that's you. Maybe you've already got your tickets. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, listen, we still got to talk about a brand new casting for the upcoming new Jurassic World movie, and Deadpool 3 is setting opening day ticket sales records and comparing very well against some other strong performers. But before we get to that, we're going to take a second and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Cuts Clothing and Liquid IV. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Cuts Clothing. Let's be real. Most guys would wear a t-shirt every day of their lives if we could. The problem is that most t-shirts are not acceptable to wear at work or out on a hot date. Today's sponsor, Cuts, has finally changed that. Cuts t-shirts are such high quality, wrinkle-free, and so buttery soft that you can look like you're dressing up even when you're dressing down. Yeah, you heard that right. They are wrinkle-free. And for a limited time, you can save money while redefining the dress code by heading to cutsclothing.com and use the code Campea for 20% off. Guys, you know me, when it comes to clothing, my number one priority is comfort, and I could not believe just how comfortable my Cuts shirt was. It was light, it breathed, it felt like $1,000,000, and it made me feel like I looked like $1,000,000 too. And the best part? Cuts clothing is built to last. Their durable construction means you'll be enjoying your favorite shirts and pants for years to come, making them a smart investment for your wardrobe. So guys, for a limited time, our listeners get 20% off your entire order when you use the code code Campea at checkout. That's 20% off your order at cutsclothing.com with the promo code Campea. Please support our show by telling them that the John Campea Show sent you. Experience the perfect blend of style and comfort with Cuts Clothing. Guys, we want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Liquid IV. You know, it seems like summer's just designed to make us thirsty, whether it's camping, hiking, playing sports, and staying hydrated is the key to making the most of every moment. Because summer requires extraordinary hydration that's built for everyday dehydrating moments. Liquid IV hydrates you with benefits like electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients. With 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients in a single stick, it's clearly why Liquid IV is the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. It has 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink. Just tear, pour, and live more. Just 1 stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. With 8 vitamins and nutrients, non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. There's no artificial colors or sweeteners, and it's got 4 delicious sugar-free flavors: white peach, green grape, raspberry melon, and lemon lime. So turn your ordinary water into extraordinary hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code Campea at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code Campea at liquidiv.com. And thank you to our friends at Cuts Clothing and Liquid IV for sponsoring today's episode. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You guys might remember that there is a new Jurassic World movie coming. It's true. It is coming. And we already found out one major casting for it, Scarlett Johansson, which I think surprised a lot of people, including me. Now, we already knew they made some announcements that they were going to move on now from the old cast of both Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, and they were going to start bringing in new casts for the ongoing stories, and the first one they said was Scarlett Johansson. Well, they just made an announcement about the newest cast member, and it's a really good one. It's Rupert Friend who got in. This comes from the folks at Coming Soon who said this. New Jurassic World movie cast Rupert Friend to cast. Obi-Wan Kenobi star Rupert Friend, he played the Grand Inquisitor, is the latest to join the cast of Universal's Jurassic World 2025 sequel directed by Godzilla's and Rogue One's Gareth Edwards. The actor will reportedly star alongside Scarlett Johansson, who he has acted with before, in the new Jurassic World movie, which is set to release next year. English actor Friend is best known for playing George Wickham in the 2005 adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, alongside Keira Knightley. More recently, he played the Grand Inquisitor in Disney's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, if for whatever reason the name isn't really striking a bell with you, here's some of the more notable performances that Rupert's had. Of course, recently he was the Grand Inquisitor. I thought he was great as the Grand Inquisitor. I didn't really like the Obi-Wan series, but I thought he was great as the Grand Inquisitor. He was, of course, one of the hitmans in one of the Hitmen movie, A Hitman Agent 47. He starred alongside Scarlett Johansson in Asteroid City. He was in The French Dispatch, which a lot of people love. He was a series regular on Homelander. He was in one of my favorite, most underrated films the last number of years, In a Simple Favor. And he was in that great little film, Death of Stalin, as well. So that's a number of things. Look, one of the things that we always talk about on the show when they're talking about, adding cast and stuff like that is talent's the most important thing. It's never a mistake to add talent. And I think adding this guy to it, particularly a guy who has acted alongside of Scarlett Johansson already, so they'll probably have a little bit of shorthand at this point, is great. Now, this is going to bring up the bigger question, of course, that everybody wants to bring up whenever the new Jurassic World comes up. Do they really need to do another Jurassic World movie?
No.
I mean, that's always the one that comes up, right? And the answer to that, of course, is money. Say what you want about the last Jurassic World movie, which isn't great, but not as bad as some people make it out to be, but it's not great. It still made over $1 billion. One of their weaker films still made over $1 billion. Do you not keep going? And so I think it's kind of a no-brainer. Listen, 2025 is pretty ambitious, but they're starting to put together a pretty good cast of Scarlett Johansson. I like the director they got on board in Gareth Edwards, so I think I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for now. And this edition of Rupert, I think is kind of good. So for now, you can sign me up.
Is this a complete reboot of Jurassic?
No.
World?
No.
Because a part of me kind of wants to go back without the made up dinosaurs and go back to the what we know.
Well, I
'Cause
mean,
they started making up.
still do that.
They started making up stuff, and it was just like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
cool, but you're adding like things that is like
Yeah, they were
unbelievable
mutating
now.
them. They were mutating.
Yeah,
them.
I mean, I don't know which way they're going, but I do love this edition. I always love dinosaurs. This movie, whatever the trailer shows us, I know I'm going to want to watch it in 4DX. For
People love watching dinosaurs.
4DX,
wreck stuff.
baby.
I mean, that's just the thing. But you're right about the made up stuff because, like, in the first Jurassic Park, it's like the pinnacle, the king of the
Yeah.
mountain, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and then all of a sudden, oh no, it's the Maximus Rex, or whatever they
Abdominus
call it.
Rex,
the
or
Abdominus
yeah.
Rex, and then it's the mightiest Big Dickus Rex,
Yeah.
and then it's the whatever.
Don't stand
other,
under that one.
Yeah, don't
The
stand over,
Dickiness Rex.
Don't stand over that one. But I mean, or don't stand under that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Or don't
just
fall on it.
but just like Fast and the Furious, right? Where they got all ridiculous, but maybe in 11 it sounds like they're going to scale it back and get back to the roots of it, like from Fast 1, 2, and 3, just make it about car races, a good heist, whatever. They can just get back to the core dinosaurs, because guess what? A T-Rex is terrifying enough.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to one up a T-Rex.
I'm not
T-Rex is good.
I'm not gonna lie. I did like the amusement park ride part of it in the first one and the Jurassic World where they are in that
I
little,
thought-
little ball.
yeah, I agree.
I did like that aspect of
I
it.
thought Jurassic Park obviously is my favorite, and it was the best of the Jurassic Park.
Absolutely.
I felt Jurassic World was a bit of a return to that. It had its faults, but it was the best of the world, in my opinion. So hopefully they can reset it again.
Look, there's even in their worst movies, even in the worst Jurassic movies, there's always fun to be had, right?
Right.
And as long as they capture that, Gareth Edwards, I think, does a good job. Gareth Edwards has a terrific background working in visual effects and monster movies and all that kind of stuff, with a little bit of sci-fi. Scarlett Johansson clearly liked the script enough to sign up for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I-
I'll give it a go.
I mean, I was playing this Jurassic Park game where you build your own dinosaur park, and it's insane. Just like putting one dinosaur in it, that thing will go wild. I want to see, I want to see some more like smarter humans in this next one, because they think, oh, some wires are gonna hold this thing. No, it's not. Then nothing's ever gonna hold anything. So I just hope for smarter humans.
I
Like
think
when it comes to dinosaurs,
I think what Gareth Edwards can do is at least try to mimic what Spielberg did, which was build tension throughout the film.
Right,
Yes.
right.
And the Jurassic World films, and then you didn't have any tension. It wasn't a horror adventure. It was just like everything was just within scale and just shot wide
And the
like,
awe.
Yeah, and
was
it
what
was just
gave
like-
us.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, hopefully, though, Gareth Edwards will be able to get us back to that. And I like the new cast edition. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? We got some new cast for the upcoming Jurassic World movie. Do you like it? Maybe you don't even think they should make this movie, or maybe you're like a lot of other people because the last one made $1 billion. You can't wait to go back to the theaters to see giant dinosaurs eat people again. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Deadpool and Wolverine is coming. The marketing campaign has begun, and just the other day we talked about it. You know, the tickets have gone on sale, and they did real well. Fandango reported that it was the #1 ticket sales opening for any film of 2024, and more notably, that the ticket sales for Deadpool 3, Deadpool and Wolverine, were actually outpacing the ticket sales for the first Deadpool movie and outpacing the ticket sales for the second Deadpool movie, both of which made around $130 million on their opening weekend. Well, another new record apparently got hit for the biggest single-day ticket sales record for an R-rated film ever from the nation's and the world's largest movie theater chain, AMC Theaters, apparently grossing $8 million in ticket sales in just the first 24 hours, which sets an all-time record. And they put it into context. This comes to us from Deadline. This is more day one ticket sales at AMC, again, the world's largest movie theater chain, than any other R-rated movie ever. While there are no direct comps on Deadpool and Wolverine ticket sales in post-COVID history, its current cash beats the 24-hour advance ticket sales of Warner Brothers and DC's The Batman, which made $6.5 million in its initial 24 hours, and Disney Marvel Studios' Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which took in $6 million in its first 24 hours. And for comparison's sake to R-rated, Lionsgate's R-rated John Wick Chapter 1, which generated $1.4 million in first-day ticket sales. The Batman and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 opened to respective 3-day weekends of 134 million and 118 million. So, again, this kind of tracks with what we saw on its outpacing Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2. Mm-hmm. Because Deadpool 1 ended up around the $130 million mark. Deadpool 2 ended up close to the $130 million mark. And Deadpool 3 tickets were outpacing those. Clearly, it's outpacing that of the Batman, and the Batman ended up having a $134 million opening weekend. All right. This is something I've already said a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, and I think I'm going to just keep going back to it. I still think all signs point to a $150 million opening weekend. Like every one of these data points that keeps coming out, I think makes me feel better and better about that $150 million. Like if the Batman's doing 6.5 in the first 24 hours and ending up at 134, I think Deadpool doing 8. I think that trajects a little bit better for 150. Now, again, we are still, the difference between the Batman ticket sales and this is the Batman ticket sales didn't go on sale 2 full months out from when the movie came out. And that is a big part of this equation that I think not enough people are talking about. They put out the tickets for this more than 2 months in advance. So they've got a long time. And by the way, I went back to AMC, the website, the other day. Yeah, those screenings are all selling out. They're all selling out. So, I mean, we've got a long time with a lot more marketing to go for them to sell tickets for opening weekend. I still feel good at the 150 mark. So, Jonathan, now you're hearing this. It's broken these single day ticket records. It's outpacing things like Batman and by a mile, the John Wick stuff. Are you still holding to your prediction? Where's your prediction at for its opening weekend?
What was my prediction? I feel like I said 180. I think I said about 180.
Yeah, you were right around there.
And that puts us around 180. I'm looking at the chart here on as a matter of fact, I'll even just bring it up, my shot. So 180 puts us down around, Incredibles 2, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. I think we kind of compared it to Doctor Strange. So
what was the Doctor Strange opening weekend again?
That's 187. And Wakanda Forever is 181. And
now remember though, Doctor Strange wasn't R-rated.
Right.
Which is gonna hinder it a little bit.
I was comparing it to like Joker, which I believe was here at 96 million, but of course it went on to
make over $1 billion. Yeah.
So it doesn't have to have a huge opening. Like Joker it's still huge, but 96 million, it didn't crack 100 million.
Well, you know what other movies?
I think it's still outpacing these things.
You know what other movies didn't make 100 million opening weekend? Avatar movies.
Yeah.
Either of the two Avatar movies, the two biggest films of all time, neither one of them opened over $100 million. I mean, just keep that in mind. But right. I think, I still think 150. Ray, what was your guess again?
It was 172.
Are you still sticking to that?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that only because I'm not going to change my mind. I just like that number. It's in the middle of Rob's obnoxious, absurd.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
And yours. So I'm right there in the
middle.
middle.
What was Rob's?
He said like 190. What did he say? He said above yours.
He was above mine for sure.
Yeah, because
you're doing the prices right.
Yeah,
that's what you're doing.
Well, no, because 172.
It's gonna make $1.
172. I don't know why that's right there. Hopefully it'll just make good amount of money.
I think you and I might need to be our next bet. I think we might have to do a bet on this one.
I don't feel good about this one though. I like the number, but I'm not. Well, okay. Let me think about it.
Yeah, we'll set our.
You're saying 150, right?
Right now, I'm saying 150. But I think what we'll do is we'll set.
That's such a vanilla bet right there.
1 week before the movie, but I think it's accurate. I think 150 is right on the number.
That's why I'm kind of scared to make this bet.
So maybe what we'll do is
such a safe vanilla bet.
We'll wait till 2 weeks before the movie comes out, and then we'll give our final predictions, and then whichever one of us ends up closer to the actual number, the other person
we'll think of something.
Has to dye their hair red.
Okay, what hair?
Yeah, maybe I was just going to say, wait a minute, maybe I need to rethink that. Maybe we'll have to come up with something else. Not eggs with ketchup again. No, I'm not doing that again. I'm not risking. I almost vomited for a week after that happened.
Unfortunately, take the bet then. I'll eat eggs and ketchup this
wait, that doesn't mean anything. And now I'm seeing some people in the live chat it's like still really believing it's going to make 200 million. Listen, I hope it does. I really do.
All right, if it does make, let's make this bet at least with our chat. The chat.
Okay, what's that?
This one's for sure. If it does make 200 million, we both have to do.
Yep, and I'm saying
three of us have to do.
There is
whoa.
Yeah, Jonathan's like,
Hey,
don't try
I'm just
to be
minding
into
my own
this.
business over here.
I just don't see any reality that this movie makes 200 million opening.
That's why we should make a bet with our audience.
Like, I think I think it will make $1 billion as long as the movie's not bad, and we'll find out. But I think the movie will ultimately get to $1 billion. But I just don't think 200 million
On an R-rated film. That's
the thing
huge
on
leap.
an R-rated film. And listen, that is also a massive leap from Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2, making around 130. See, it's not that big of a leap to go from that to 150. But to go from opening weekends of like around 130 to 200? I don't know, man. That seems, so you know, you're right. We're going to have to come up with a little bet with our audience.
We have to.
Yeah. Okay. We'll come up with something.
So it is interesting though. So Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2 were the highest in order of R-rated movies, followed by It and then Joker.
When they came out.
So it's in good company.
You're talking about opening weekend.
Yeah. But by R-rated movie.
Right. Now, of course, ultimately, Joker went on to become the biggest,
Yeah.
highest grossing R-rated film in history, which I think Deadpool 3 will beat.
But we're saying that 132, 125, and we're going to go over 200.
Yeah,
That's a big jump.
Again, some people think I'm crazy saying that I believe Deadpool will make $1 billion. But again, think about it. The other two films got relatively close to 800 million. It's not that big of a jump to go from 800 to $1 billion. When you consider it's our first Deadpool film in 6 years, that it's now Deadpool being in the MCU for the first time, and Hugh Jackman is coming back to play Wolverine in it. $200 million more, going from 8 to $1 billion, not that huge of a jump. But going from like 130 opening weekend to 200 million is a massive leap. I don't know.
I got my bet for you.
What's that?
I get to take over at least one Friday, because usually Friday is the show. Like we've done what we could for the week. I get a takeover for one topic, and you have to wear Batman Beyond shirt that I will buy, a Batman Beyond hat, and I write out the whole segment where you have to say everything.
Like you're going to write a script and I'm going to put it on a teleprompter and I have to read what you write.
Well, no, you have to actually act like you're saying and you mean it. I don't want you going like reading it. I want you to look at my script and say everything with passion, with belief, with confidence. Okay? So I could at least have that.
I'm pretty sure you're safe on this bet anyway, because I don't think we're going.
Yeah, it's not going to hit once. But okay, that's my thing.
Okay, you know what? I might be able to get on board with that. See, I thought you were going to say that you were going to take over the show one Friday.
No, and I'm like, segment.
So by Monday, my show is canceled?
No, one topic where I write out, you loving a Batman Beyond. I don't know. Well, okay, something like that.
I will Ron Burgundy whatever you write on that teleprompter. I will. Now we'll figure out the details. We'll figure out the details of the bet a little bit later. All right, guys, the question is for you. What do you think? I mean, Deadpool clearly is doing well. It's not going to break an all-time opening weekend box office record. It's not going to become the biggest box office, but it's clearly doing really well, which, let's be honest here, Marvel really needs right now. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to now move on to the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take another quick second here and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at The Wellness Company. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of today's video, The Wellness Company. Okay, so you wake up with a scratchy throat, congestion, runny nose, and cough. You know your body. You know you're getting sick. So your choices are tough it out, get sick, and take time off work, or hope the doctor can see you this month, or wait 2 hours at urgent care and sit in a room full of sick people, or open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to the doctor-recommended prescription. Start on the right meds and nip this in the bud now. Your medical emergency kit is not a first aid kit. It comes with doctor-prescribed meds to treat over 39 medical issues. Strong antibiotics for infections of all types, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, bronchitis, and so much more. Plus, a doctor's easy guide so you'll know exactly what to take and when. There's no waiting to see the doctor, no waiting at the pharmacy. It's all in here. Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit. Order yours online in just minutes. Your kit will be rushed right to your door, and you can get 15% off at twc.health/Campea and use promo code Campea when you check out. That's promo code Campea at twc.health/Campea. And thank you to our friends at The Wellness Company for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. Okay, guys, with that down, let's get over to the most important thing here, which is your guys' thoughts, theories, opinions, and questions. Let's get over to it. Jonathan, what we got up first?
Cody Hunt says, okay, this has been bugging me since I've seen it. There's a huge plot hole in The Fall Guy. Why would the cops be after Gosling when he already went to them about a body he found in a tub? The movie makes him out to be the murder suspect when he shouldn't be. That cop didn't believe him.
Yeah, that number one, that cop didn't believe him. Number two, we've all seen enough murder mysteries where the husband calls in the murdered wife, and the husband's the one that murdered them in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really see that as a plot hole, to be honest. I think that's fairly consistent with the things we see in real life. I mean, listen, I had some issues with Fall Guy. I did, but overall, I thought it was a really great, wonderful movie. I don't think that was a plot hole, to be honest with you. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Suthius, who says, came upon a post where basically a fan thought that we, the people, the fans, deserve something else instead of what we actually had gotten. One person then replied with, should have voted with your wallets instead of your hashtags. Great response, in my opinion.
Yes. Look, in principle, I agree. But you don't know that you didn't like the movie until you bought your ticket and went to go see the movie. I mean, right? I mean,
Right.
that's the thing. You don't know that you didn't like the movie until you went to go see the movie. Now, you can vote with your wallets on a number of things and other issues. Like, we don't like these types of movies or whatever. Yeah, well, if you know there's a type of movie you don't like, you vote with your wallet. That's the only communication tool that the studios ever hear. They don't read your hashtags. They don't read your stupid, let's start, what do they call again? When you get people to sign our petition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Studios don't give a shit about your petitions. They care about how you speak to them through your wallets. That they hear loud and clear. But then that's a little bit of a tricky thing for us as fans, right? Because in order to know I didn't like a movie, I got to go see it first. Anyway, it's tricky. All right, what's next?
Okay. Rose Crown says AMC Plus is added to Prime. 14-year listener, the dad of the twins in Atlanta.
Oh, nice. I remember them.
They're almost 13 and
shut up.
Yeah, and 5 feet. Our second set are 5 years. Anyways, do you think Disney will ever take a big swing on Star Wars, tell a story maybe between 1,000 and 10,000 years in the future away from what we know? So that in the future.
First of all, one of my favorite pictures. I mean, we just did it at the Comic-Con this weekend too. I love taking pictures with people who watch a show and come up and everything. But one of my all-time favorite pictures is when it comes to fan interactions. We took the show to Atlanta because I was a keynote speaker at this big thing we did in Atlanta. And we went down, we did a live movie talk taping at an AMC theater in Atlanta. And packed it out. Thank you to everybody who came. But this one couple came and they had these 2 twin daughters who were just adorable. And boy, are they friendly. I hope they got a little bit less friendly because you shouldn't be this excited around a stranger. But I said, hi. And they both like rushed over to me and like jumped on me. And we got this great picture of me holding these girls. And it's just like one of my favorite pictures ever. Fuck you that they're 13 years old now. That's crazy. They were like this big. Anyway, I Look, here's the thing. I don't even know that Star Wars needs to go 10,000 years in the future. Just how about 10? 10 is fine. just move the story forward. A lot can happen in 10 years. A lot of things can change. And the universe is so big and so vast that you can tell stories with completely different characters in completely different environments. So they don't even need to go 1 to 10,000 years. Like 10, 15, 20 years, all good to me. All good to me. The question is, will they commit to moving their stories forward? I hope they do. All right, what's next?
Luis says, The Strangers Chapter 1 is one of the worst horror movies I've seen so far this year. It made my blood boil because of the ridiculous decisions the characters made. Have you ever experienced a movie that just really ticked you off?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was really sad because I had my tickets to go see The Strangers Chapter 1. And then I started getting all these feeds from people going, this movie sucks. I'm like, gonna take a pass on this one then. So I haven't seen it. I took a pass on it. So yeah, there have been several movies that I've watched that I just scream either at the screen out loud or in my head, what are you doing? Battlefield Earth is definitely one of those movies. Like I've said for a long time, there's an unholy trinity of the 3 worst studio-produced wide-release movies ever made. And that is Highlander 2, Catwoman, and Battlefield Earth. Worst 3 ever made. And more recently, Madam Web. I really do think I have
Mount Rushmore.
the Mount Rushmore of the, you know what? I hate piling on and I don't like bagging on a movie that I don't like. I like to say I didn't like it and I like to move on. But I might have to make one video that goes into my editorial list so it can be there forever, just about all the logic flaws in the movie. And because that frustrates me a lot more than it's like there is no way this person would do this or should do that. Like those ones really stand out to me.
Mine actually is a good movie that ticked me off. That was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I've never been so mad through a movie just because of the villain, what he was doing.
Oh, yeah, but that's totally different. Like,
but he's gonna tick you off, and
but tick you off because the characters are doing such stupid things, right?
Okay.
Like movies want you to hate the villain. Movies want you to get mad at them for that. That's fine. But I mean,
this was another sense of mad. You should have seen me.
Yeah.
Balling up my fists, my knuckles were turning white.
Yeah,
Man.
you were pissed off, man.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right. I don't know why you're mad. He's just trying to make a perfect society.
He's just trying to make people happy, man. That's all.
Okay.
Wes says, caught the interview with Jeremy Renner on Jimmy Fallon last night. Mayor of Kingstown, season 3 starts June 2nd. Not sure about you, but I'm pumped. So many great shows returning for the summer. I can't wait.
I love Mayor of Kingstown. Love that movie. Or love that show. And Renner is so good in it. And the second season ended with a great kind of twist, which I really, really enjoyed. Now, obviously, besides my concern for his well-being, here's how much I really like this show. When Jeremy Renner had his accident, and again, this is all secondary to my first thoughts, which were to his well-being. But after that, it was like when I'm thinking about his career afterwards, my first career thought of his was not about, man, I sure hope he can do more MCU stuff as Hawkeye. My first thought was, I hope he's still able to do another, again, after thinking about his well-being, my thought was, I really hope he's able to do another season of Kingstown because it's so good. And I know a lot of you guys haven't watched it yet because it does not have big viewership numbers, but you absolutely should. It's a wonderful show. Go check it out. All right, what's next?
We got Lauren Toy who says, hi, John. What's the latest news on the contract negotiations between IATSE and the AMPTP? Have they reached a tentative agreement? Are there still areas where both sides are far apart? Could there still be a strike?
There still could be a strike, yes. But from the last I heard, they have slowly been making progress. And by progress, I mean like there's a whole slew of issues. And they have been ticking off some of the issues. They've been actually coming to agreements on certain of the issues, working their way up the ladder. I feel pretty good that there's not going to be one, but it definitely is still possible. So we're going to have to, and because here's the thing, if IATSE shuts down, everything shuts down.
Right.
There's no movie or television production if IATSE shuts down. If IATSE goes on strike, the whole industry is screwed.
Yeah.
So I think everybody knows what's at stake. I think they'll get it figured out.
Corners of IATSE have have figured out their little issues, but IATSE it overarches, all things. So
Yeah.
it can go to craft services, it can go to riggers, it can go, you name it. So
All right, what's next?
we've got, I gotta scroll this. Jared Ashford says, "Hi, John and crew. I was wondering if there's a movie that made you so tense and nervous while watching it that you could feel your heartbeat. Thanks for all the hard work."
The Descent.
Hmm.
I don't know why it is what it is about that movie, man.
Claustrophobic, man.
It is the combination of the claustrophobia with which I don't have claustrophobia, but watch The Descent. It'll make you have claustrophobia. Of the combination of that with the monsters and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that movie, the other thing that really gets my heart pounding and tense and whatever is Michael Scott awkward scenes in The Office. I feel like literally, Anne will laugh at me because there are scenes in The Office that are so awkward. I literally will yelp, jump up, and walk out of the room going, "No, I can't take it. I can't take it." Like, I will get up and walk out of the room.
There was some parts of the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes where I was very tense.
Oh yeah, they
especially
did.
When that
absolutely.
Yeah, when that gorilla was chasing anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a good job in that. All right, what's next?
All right, Darth Chocolate says, "I know we're in an age where you can't critique Star Wars without being labeled a toxic, insecure man baby, but
No,
I have
that
to
by
say,
the way, that's totally false.
That's
You can't go talking about how why are girls in it? Then you will be accurately labeled as that.
Yeah.
But nobody labels you that just for saying I didn't. Guess what? I hate The Rise of Skywalker. Hate it. I've said it a million times. How many times do you think I've been called toxic by anybody? 0. So that's a bullshit narrative. Don't believe it. Anyway, please continue.
But I have to say the lightsaber whip coming from Acolyte is the dumbest thing I've seen. What do you guys think about it?
When I heard about the lightsaber whip,
There's the lightsaber whip?
there's a lightsaber whip. When I heard about the lightsaber whip, my first thought was, that sounds stupid. That being said, I got to see it in context. I mean, because like, seriously, think about it. If you can have a laser sword, which is what they literally called it in The Phantom Menace, if you can have a laser sword, why couldn't you have that?
Because you're crossing over at that point. It's Jediana Jones.
It's Jediana
I
Jones.
have no idea.
It's
It's funny because it's both Lucasfilm properties, right? Like Indiana Jones and Star Wars. I didn't know about this whip. I'm interested to see.
I
it in
mean,
action.
that seems very dangerous. Lightsabers already seem dangerous.
yes, a lightsaber in and of itself is
Now
already.
you got a flippy floppy.
Yeah, and it can come back at you if you're not careful. It's almost like,
Oh, yeah.
lightsaber nunchucks.
That's
why
what
would
I was
anyone
about
ever?
to say. That's what we need next is
There
lightsaber
we
nunchucks,
go.
right?
There would be no sense. That would just unless you had like armor or like a best. What's it called?
Beskar.
Beskar
armor in your armpits.
in your armpit. By the way, somebody else mentioned in the live chat that there was actually use of a lightsaber whip. This isn't the first time it's been used in the old EU books, in the old Star Wars EU books.
Oh.
So so again, I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm saying I got to see it in context. And once I do, then I'll decide. Because look, I'll tell you what else. As cool as it kind of looked, the Kylo Ren lightsaber is really dumb.
Yeah.
The fact that you got these two little things coming out on the side, it's like, that seems extra dangerous. Like, you can't do anything with that without one of those little side things. And so again, we'll see it in context. We'll see how it does.
Oh man, yeah.
All right, what's next?
We got 3 Joe D who says, "Hey crew, John, Netcock Plus pretty
Netcock
good,
Plus, I'm telling you.
but Flixcock even better."
I still like Netcock.
Oh, and a $20 super chat though, so thank you for
Oh,
that.
by the way, thank you for that, the Joe D. I still like Netcock Plus. That's still my favorite. I am going to be really interested in seeing if there are any kind of exclusivity deals here. Okay, for example, Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max. This is the one I'm really interested in. They're doing a bundle deal where for one price, you're going to be able to get all 3. They still haven't announced the pricing of it. I'm going to assume it's going to be around the $15 to $20 mark, which is great. But do those 3 entities, particularly Disney Plus and Max, do they become locked into that exclusively? Or is Max still free to create a separate bundle like Max, Paramount Plus, and Peacock? are going to have a different bundle. Like, so if one streaming service like Max gets involved in a bundle, can they not be in any other bundle? Can they only be in that bundle? And then at what point do these bundles get bigger? When are we going to get our Disney Plus, Netflix, Max, Paramount Plus, and Peacock bundle? The 5 fur.
Is the bundle with Max, is that through a cable service as well?
No.
Okay, see, and I think that's good that it's not latched to like, a cable service like the Peacock and Apple Plus one is, and Netflix.
P-Flix. That's
Yeah,
the other one.
Yeah,
P-Flix. All right, what's
I
next?
already got that one. That's on a different channel.
It's not different channel.
Anonymous says, in my opinion, the MCU should conclude all current stories starting now with Deadpool 3 and tie it all up with Avengers 5 and 6, then start fresh with X-Men. Unfortunately, they will likely just shoehorn X-Men in the multiverse. Hope not, but time will tell. I think they're actually collapsing the multiverse. I think that's what we're leading towards.
I agree. And it's something, but just to remind everybody, I thought that's what they were going to do with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness originally. Like long before the movie came out, because once we got closer to the movie, it became clear they weren't. But long before the movie came out, Doctor Strange 2, I said, I think they're going to use Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness to close off the multiverse and finish the multiverse story. Oh, was I wrong?
You know what I
So
say?
wrong. What did you say?
You know what I say? It doesn't matter what they do. I'm still going to be a little confused, no matter what.
I'm still going to be confused no matter what they do. No, I don't see them finishing off all things and then starting from. Look, you don't get rid of all the MCU and just replace it with X-Men. Like I don't think that's ever been the plan. That's not a good plan. But I mean, we'll see what they do. I am still most curious to find out how they're going to introduce X-Men into this universe. And I get, Rob makes a very good, solid argument about just saying they've always been there. But that, to me, that just doesn't work. That they've always been there. I still think it's going to have something to do with an incursion, but who knows? I might be wrong, like I was wrong about them using Doctor Strange 2 to close off the Multiverse of Madness. All right, what's next?
Andy says, I recently wrapped up Shogun. I loved it.
Nice.
My only nitpick was with the dialogue. The Japanese characters spoke in Japanese. However, the Portuguese dialogue was in English.
Yes.
The characters even remarked they were speaking Portuguese. Found it strange.
I thought it was a fabulous idea. You couldn't have look, you can't have the entire show in subtitles because unfortunately, well, I have no problem with subtitles. A lot of people don't enjoy watching shows with subtitles. So you got to have that. So I thought it was a very interesting thing that when they're speaking, when the characters are speaking English, we hear English. When the characters are speaking Portuguese, we hear English. But when the characters are speaking Japanese, we get subtitles. That was appropriate because remember, we're experiencing this world through the eyes and ears of John Blackthorne, played by Cosmo Jarvis, right? So if Cosmo understands the language, we, since he's our avatar in this world, we should understand the language. So when they speak English, John Blackthorne understands English, so we hear English. When they're speaking Portuguese, John Blackthorne speaks Portuguese, so he understands what's being said, so we should be able to understand what's being said. And then Japanese to him was the foreign language. So for we, the audience, it's a foreign language, provided you're not Japanese. To us, it's a foreign language, and thus we have subtitles. So I thought it was a very, very well-used device, to be honest with you. All right, what's next?
Julia Goodwin says, who is a retired director you wish would come out of retirement one last time? Mine is Rob Reiner.
I love Rob Reiner.
That'd be a good one. I mean, if he had something he felt he had to say, I'd like to see him come
Yeah,
back.
the great thing about Rob Reiner is he's not just a really great director. I love seeing him. I remember even not too many years ago, he popped up in New Girl. He
Yeah.
was like Jesse's dad
Yep.
or something like that. I love him like appearing. His dad was a like total G. I love Rob Reiner. So who's another one? I'd have to think about that.
I have to say Quentin Tarantino.
But he hasn't retired.
No, he has.
He has.
I'm going to jump the...
He's not even going to do his 10th film. He's just done. He's just done. All right, what's next?
Okay. Natalie says, hi, John. This is a 1 of 3. Yesterday, you said that Apple TV Plus was a must. I'd like to second that with a confession. We are an Android household, and we've always disliked Apple. So we used to scoff at TV Plus. But 6 months ago, we subscribed following a friend's advice. We were shocked at how amazing their content is so far. We've watched 30 shows.
Nice.
They were all, that's a lot. Wow.
That's
they were all
wild.
at the very least interesting. 85% were good, 50 were great, and around 30 of them were downright masterpieces. No other service even comes close. We've since started recommending TV Plus to everyone around us, and it's the last service we would cancel. Why do you think their market share is so low, though? Their lack of back catalog used to be the factor, but now they have hundreds of movies and shows, and they're a good price.
And see, look,
The price is one of the.
I'll tell you one theory. I still remember when they did their big opening presentation announcement a couple of years ago, announcing Apple TV Plus. And they did this big presentation. They brought out, Jason Momoa to talk about C. They brought out Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston to talk about Morning Show, and Steve Carell. And they did all this thing. And it was one of the dullest, boring presentations I had ever seen. And aside from the fact that Ronald D. Moore, the creator of Battlestar Galactica, my all-time #1 favorite TV show, was doing this new show called For All Mankind, nothing looked interesting to me. Nothing. Apple has not done a good job of marketing Apple TV Plus. Despite the fact that they had like the #1 pop cultural show in the world for about a year with Ted Lasso. But listen, they just crank out great content. I think, I might be wrong about this, but I think Shrinking is an Apple TV Plus show.
Yeah.
That's the best comedy on TV. That is the best comedy on TV, Shrinking. I cannot wait. Harrison Ford hasn't been better in years.
I'm telling you, it's just Apple's way. Sometimes it just feels like they're like, we got this. We don't need a market. It'll just catch on. If we believe in our product, and someone loves something and tells the next person, we don't need to spend all that money. We'll just let that happen. And plus, they still have to build up a library like Netflix
They
has.
do. And
That's why they're not pouting right now or boasting a lot.
And maybe that's it. Maybe it's because you may think, oh, they've already got a big library. No, they don't. Look, not when you compare it to Max, not when you compare it to Netflix, not when you compare it to Disney Plus. It's still relatively small. But my God, even like their smaller shows, Monarch was fantastic. I just finished watching Sugar. I had a really good time watching Sugar. It's not a top 5 show of the year.
What's the other movie that we were addicted to that's supposed to have a second season coming out? The one where they go into they forget that they have 2 lives. They walk into that company. Severance.
Yeah, Severance is an Apple TV show. Like they are killing it with their quality of stuff.
And
that they
it's
have.
all over the place too. Even that Big Door game show, show.
The
I
morning
really
show?
like that one too.
Which one?
Where there's like the liquor store and there's a vending machine and tells everyone's future.
Oh no, yeah, I know what you're
The
talking
Big
about.
Door.
Yeah,
Have you seen that one?
I am not familiar with that one. No.
It's so good because it's the machine tells them what their future is, and so you see how people react to that.
It tells them what they should be doing,
what they're destined to be.
But then it's like they force it, and it's almost like
They act on it. It's that one guy
maybe it
from
didn't work
Bridesmaids.
out.
By the way, Jeremy and King just also point out Foundation. Foundation's an Apple
Yeah.
TV. That show is great. They kill it. But Silo
Oh, yeah.
is
Silo
great.
is really
That's
good
an
too.
Apple TV Plus show.
if nothing else, and you want a palate cleanser, get it for Ted Lasso.
And just it's like Ted Lasso is to Apple TV Plus what The Office and Parks and Rec are for Peacock.
Monarch.
If for no other. Yeah, I mentioned Monarch.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Monarch is wonderful. Defending Jacob is great. Blackbird won Paul Walter Hauser an
Tetris.
Emmy Award.
Yeah, the Tetris movie.
The Tetris movie. Everybody's talking about Dark Matter right now, which I still haven't started watching it, but a lot of people are saying it's really
And
good.
I am shocked that Ray didn't
Slow
mention
Horses.
For All
Slow Horses.
Mankind.
Wait a minute. Slow Horses.
Yes,
Netflix.
that's Apple.
That's also Apple TV
yeah,
Plus.
Slow Horses Apple.
I mean, and by the way, the morning show, which does not look like it's a show for me, it's fantastic.
That one kicked it off. I think.
Yeah, it
That
really
one.
did. Morning show is
And
fantastic.
there's still the second season of Severance.
And
come on.
Mythic Quest. Somebody else is playing.
Oh,
Mythic Quest is so good.
guys, go get Apple TV.
Get
We're not
Apple
even
TV Plus.
and also Apple sponsor us.
And Apple, by the way, and to our viewers' point, they might be the cheapest one out there right now.
They are.
Like it's
No
such
doubt.
a good value. Apple
If I
is
have
the
it,
much
they're
guess.
the cheapest.
Apple is a must get. All right, what's next?
All right. Wow, Dean Winchester.
Oh,
says,
wow.
hey, John and crew, huge fan of the show. With Walker being canceled, do you think we could get a Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki reunion on The Boys or a Supernatural revival?
Well, I mean, look, first of all, to anybody who I never saw a single episode of Walker, to be honest with you, despite the fact that I love Jared Padalecki and I loved him on Supernatural, there was nothing stopping that from happening before. You're in our TV show. You're not booked 12 hours a day, 365 days a year. There's time to go out and do other things if they wanted to. So they could have. I will say this. With the guy who created Supernatural running The Boys, and so many, for those of you who never watched Supernatural, if you go back and watch it suddenly, you're going to be shocked how many cast members from Supernatural are either on or have appeared in The Boys. Like it's huge. I would love in The Boys to see the two Jensen Ackles and why am I freezing on Dean's name? Soldier Boy. I'm freezing on his name. I was just talking.
What was it? I thought Jensen Ackles was
Yeah, Jensen.
Sorry, I'm Jared Padalecki and Jared
Padalecki.
Ackles. There it is. Yes, to see them on screen in The Boys together would be outrageous. I would love to see a Supernatural reunion, but nobody would watch it. So they probably won't, but man, I would love to see it. All right. What's next?
Okay. I'm excited for Dildar says, I'm excited for the Acolyte, but I got a friend who keeps falling for the misinformation around it. Already thinks it's the worst thing in Star Wars, and I can't talk about it without him getting mad and saying it's going to ruin Star Wars. Now, the people your friends are listening to, those are the man babies.
Yeah, no, oh no, there's a girl in it. Oh,
How
no.
does it ruin Star Wars? I mean, I didn't like Obi-Wan. It didn't ruin the good parts of Star Wars.
Yeah, I hate the prequels. It didn't ruin Star Wars. I mean, look.
You both side at the same time.
The best opinion is your opinion, is what I have to say.
And also,
especially something that you haven't seen yet.
Your friend should just watch, diversify your arguments. Don't just get into an echo chamber.
Yeah, look, as somebody who has disliked a good number of Star Wars things lately, including Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, the last Star Wars movie was terrible. None of that ruins anything, right? I hated the prequels. Do you think that's changed how glorious the original Star Wars trilogy is to me? Not a bit. I didn't like Obi-Wan. Did that take away my love of Andor? Not at all. Nothing ruins anything.
Rebels was awesome.
The amount of stupidity out there is just always astounding to me. And listen, maybe we'll watch Acolyte. And again, like I said, other than this new clip, which I like the new clip I think is very solid, but I have not liked the trailers. And so maybe Acolyte is the next disappointment. Okay. All right. If it's bad and it's disappointing, okay, we move on. And then hopefully the next season of Andor comes out soon. I mean, it's anybody who talks like that is clearly coming to it with an agenda, right? And so just ignore those people.
I don't know what positives.
Only the Sith speak in absolutes.
I don't know what the positives is of getting a head start on disappointment.
Right. That's the thing.
Why do you want to?
Because they're making money off of it.
Because
they're monetizing it.
Because there are segments of people who have brought their political agendas into the movie realm. And
I just want to be entertained. I don't.
Yeah,
care
they'll
about all
say
that
the same
noise.
thing, but they're lying. And they have a mandate, and they want everybody to hate it, and they're going to try to force people to hate it. And it just and again, listen, I'm saying this as somebody that I'm expecting not to like the new Acolyte show, right? I don't, judging by the trailers
That's not
I've
your
seen,
fault, though.
I'm not expecting to like it, but I hope I like it.
Yeah.
That's not your fault.
There's a huge difference.
You've been driven to this point of thinking. I think by the product, not someone else's words. Just how you feel about the product.
Yeah.
That makes more sense to me than someone telling you something is going to be this and then you act on it. It's just weird to me.
Yep.
That's just a weird
All right,
way
we
to
need to
live
move
life.
on. What's
Yeah.
next?
Tim B says, on bringing the X-Men to the MCU, people are assuming that means they'll be on Earth 616, but they could be on a different Earth like the F4 appear to be. That way they can keep the history of all the mutants intact, and then they cross over at some point.
Look, I've been saying for over 5 years now that what I think they should do, and they never listen to what I think they should do, and usually that's probably good. I've been saying for years that what I think they should do is have X-Men in their own complete separate universe. Because the MCU in itself is already very getting tangled, it's getting a little bit convoluted, and it's getting overcrowded. And I think they should just keep it separate so that you can have a purity of its background mythology and where the mutants come from. But they're not going to do that. They might start off there. Like, again, I think we've gotten our first real peek at what they're going to do and how they're going to bring in the X-Men with the post-credit scene in the Marvels, where Photon wakes up on the other universe and Hank McCoy's there talking about Charles and all that kind of stuff. So, and the Fantastic Four poster shows that the Fantastic Four are starting off in a different reality. But what Doctor Strange 2 has been setting up with the concept of the incursions and all that kind of stuff, I think what Jonathan was alluding to earlier, my guess, and it's just a guess, I could be wrong, absolutely, I'm just guessing. My guess is that they're going to do what DC did in their comics and just bring all of those worlds together and create one single world again, and that'll be in the 616. I think they should keep it separate, but I don't think they will. Yeah. All right, what's next?
H.C. Conrad says, is it me or have Marvel's writing and directing choices for the new projects felt more thoughtful and focused than we have seen in a while? It really seems like Feige has his hands on the tiller and he has a vision, pun intended. Thoughts?
It is okay. It feels that way, but we can't say it is until we start seeing product, right? And product, we're not even going to get our real eyes on until Daredevil, right? It was in the midst of Daredevil. So like everything's on such a long lead that we're only going to be starting to see things coming out that are actually going to be impacted by, like, say, Feige getting his authority back. The stuff we've had recently, that was made before he had his power back. So we're going to see. So does it feel that way? Yeah, but we won't know that it is that way until we actually start seeing the product. So here's fingers crossed. All right, what's next?
Arj King says, hi, John and gang. I feel like not enough people have mentioned this one as a potential cameo, and especially since he's one of the best parts of X2. Alan Cummings as Nightcrawler. I feel pretty confident we'll see him.
I feel pretty confident we won't.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think Alan Cummings and the world of the X-Men burn bridges with each other. There's some like behind the scenes drama and stuff like that. And I don't expect we will see Alan Cummings again. By the way, he's the host of some reality game show now that looks pretty interesting. I'm trying to remember. Anybody in the live chat know what the name of that is? So I by the way, I'm not saying I know for a fact he's not going to be in it. Anything's on the table. Maybe he does.
I recognize his face now.
Yeah. Traders is the name of the show. Thank you, Mode Man. And I think it would be pretty cool if he did, but I am fully expecting we will not see him.
Cool if he
but
did.
Who knows? Who knows? Let's see. All right, what's next?
Matan says, either way, Pixar layoffs are sad as the entire American animation industry is having one, and even Pixar isn't safe. There has been a lot of cutbacks. It will only decrease morale. Still stand on the marketing for Inside Out 2, making people not watch. Same for Elemental. But I actually like the Inside Out. Well,
here's the thing. We're going to talk more about this tomorrow. But Deadline just put out a story. And again, we're going to talk about this more in depth tomorrow. That they're projecting right now that Inside Out 2 is going to be the biggest opening weekend in 5 years for Pixar. They're estimating. Remember we just said Furiosa is aiming for 40 million over a 4-day weekend? They're projecting right now Inside Out 2 for 80 to 85 million.
Ooh.
Which would be one of the biggest opening they've had in half a decade. So, yes, we will see. We'll see about that. All right, what's next?
Vatsal says, talking of the piss poor performing SSU movies like Morbius and Madam Web, how long do you think, John, it would take for these movies to turn a profit in the books with licensing? In-flight streaming, motel VOD rentals, 5 years, 10 or 28?
Never will. Never will. Here's the reality. I mean, they're not making any money on Netflix. Except for people who are watching the entire movie. By the way, we don't know it's the number one movie on Netflix, but we don't know how much of the movie people are watching before they're tapping out. And it's not making any money for Netflix or anybody else unless people are watching it on the ad-supported tier, but I don't think it was available on the ad-supported tier. So I'm not really sure. I'm not sure that it ever does, to be honest with you. All right, what's next?
Wesley Cunningham says, if not a full reboot, Jurassic needs to fully embrace a story about humans struggling to coexist with dinosaurs. Every movie teases it, but never fully focuses on that. Even Dominion was finally supposed to but got sidetracked with the super locust plot.
Yeah, it did. And you know what? I think you're 100% right. And I don't know. I think that's what they are going to do with this new one. They're bringing in bringing Gareth Edwards. I have a feeling that's what they're finally going to do. That the shock of Jurassic Park is now over. And even the shock of Jurassic World happening over again. We are now having to deal with the new reality that we have to live in a world that dinosaurs are here and they're around. And so it's going to be interesting to see what direction they go, but I think you're right. I think that's what they need to do. And I think that's what they're going to do. We'll see. All right. What's next?
Okay. On to members. Dad Joke says, John, hear me out. A Marvel film about the Black Order and some of their past missions.
No,
I got to get away from
No, I got to get away from going backwards and telling prequel stories. I like the Black Order.
Yeah.
I did. You know, Proxima Midnight, the whole, I love them. Dema, great. But it's time to move forward. I'm over the prequel stuff. We got to get past the Infinity Stone era and all that kind of stuff. Need to move forward, I think. All right, what's next?
David says, with X-Men film finally in development and the mixed bag of post-Infinity Wars, did Marvel blow it by not introducing them earlier like they had Black Panther, Spidey introduced before they had their films? They didn't have the rights.
Well, no. What he's saying is, like, are they blowing by not introducing him before an X-Men movie comes out? What I would say to you is, who says they're not?
Right.
And by the way, that formula of introducing them first is what made it good. No, it didn't. Shang-Chi wasn't introduced in anything first. And that's one of the, I think, the best Marvel movie they've put out in the last number of years. Like, that was fantastic. They didn't need to introduce him first. It worked for Black Panther, and that's great. And it worked not doing that way. So no, the key is making good movies and good stories. That's it. And if you do that by introducing X-Men first, dropping in a couple of things, by the way, we just mentioned Beast already showed up in the Marvels, and we may see more of that. But if we don't see more of that, I don't think they're blowing anything by doing it that way. The formula doesn't equal quality. You have a formula, but you got to make it quality for it to work. So we'll see. All right, what's next?
All right. Chuck says, if things like Acolyte, Mando Grogu, and Skeleton Crew are successful, does Kathleen stay longer than anticipated? Also, Zevia or Poppy?
Zevia.
Oh, I just tried Poppy. Oh my God.
That is it bad?
The flavor that I got, I didn't like it. But yeah.
All bets are out when it comes to Kathleen Kennedy, as far as I'm concerned, because I heard, to remind you guys, I heard in no uncertain terms about a year ago that by the end of the year, by the end of 2023, that the decision had already been made, that Kathleen Kennedy was out, and she would be gone sometime after the latest Indiana Jones movie came out. Between when the last Indiana Jones movie came out and the end of that year, she would depart. It's already been decided. She's gone. I had heard that from two different sources, and other people online backed up what I said. Like, when I made that statement, other people online backed it up, said we've heard the same thing, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen. So I have no idea. Because I thought she was going to be gone by now. So whether she just extended it by another year or whatever. Look, I don't really think Kathleen Kennedy's legacy, I think, in Hollywood is secure. She's one of the greatest producers of all time. Steven Spielberg says she is the greatest producer of all time. I'll take his word for it. I think he knows what he's talking about. But as a studio head, that's a different job. And I think ultimately her legacy as a studio head is not going to be whether she made some Disney Plus shows work. It's going to be, did she make the movies work? So, Acolyte, I hope it's great. But if it's great, it still means the Disney Plus shows were hit and miss. Yeah, Mando season 1 and 2 were good. Mando season 3 wasn't. Andor is fabulous. Ahsoka and Obi-Wan were not. Maybe Acolyte is good. I mean, so it's still hit and miss. It's a mixed bag. Hopefully, Mando movie is great. Hopefully, but it's really going to be about the movies, I think. So I honestly don't know. I think she should have been gone along. With all due respect, because she is a Hall of Famer. But I think she should have been gone from her post at Lucasfilm a long time ago. But so I honestly don't know. I have no guess. All right, what's next?
Okay, Culture Healers says, during the open mic yesterday, you went over possible Disney Plus shows for the MCU. Why did no one say Darcy and Wu? An X-Files type series would be awesome.
Somebody wrote that to me after open mic. And I was like, yes, that's actually the one I want. Darcy and Wu from, or also Asian Jim from WandaVision. I remember from the first time we saw the two of them together in WandaVision, everybody said it, we said it, everybody said it, that we want a Marvel Cinematic Universe version of X-Files with these two characters going around and investigating superhuman phenomena that's happening. I would have loved it. And that, if somebody, I wish somebody had mentioned that yesterday, and I wish I had thought of it, because that would be number one on my list. That would be the number one Disney Plus Marvel show I'd want to see. All right, what's next?
We got No Country for Bad Movies. If the original 2000 X-Men film were being made today with the exact same script, who would you cast as Magneto? Greetings from Hamilton, Ontario.
My hometown, Hamilton, the Hammer, the greatest city in the world. Went to St. Jean de Brebeuf High School, if anybody lives around there. I don't really do X Factor and X Role. But who would then be like an Ian McKellen? You know, I always thought like the perfect guy to play Magneto was a Rutger Hauer. Of course, Ian McKellen is godlike as Magneto. He's fantastic. Rutger Hauer would have been great. Today, who would be, you know, the same movie trying to capture that Ian McKellen mojo? That's a good question. I don't know. Hayden Center is saying a Christoph Waltz. That's not bad, actually.
Yeah.
Christoph, for a lot of different reasons, that's not bad.
I like, I'll go back to my Lord of the Rings dude, Viggo.
Viggo Mortensen? Viggo Mortensen wouldn't be a bad pick either. Charles Dance, I don't know. I love Charles Dance. He's so good. But I don't know if I see him as Magneto. Yeah, all right. Anyway, what's next?
Magneto.
Okay. Jersey Qua, I think. Do you think the success of the upcoming Street Fighter movie depends on what happens with the sequel to Mortal Kombat?
I didn't even know there was an upcoming Street
So there's your answer on that one.
But no, I don't think one will have anything to do with the other. All right, what's next?
Luis says, why do so many cities, Tucson, for example, don't have an IMAX theater? This one here has IMAX experience, which is just the sound and not the image. What theaters are they?
Building an IMAX theater is a very expensive endeavor. And it's, I mean, IMAX, like, I don't know if people think IMAX is a $20 billion company. They're not. So they will build and expand where they can, and they're going to put theaters where they think they can make money. But even then, they have to roll out a certain pace.
And you also have to take account not only the physical space of it, like those tickets are a lot more expensive than regular tickets. They got to put them in a market where they feel they're going to get the
100%.
money back.
Right. So if that
100%.
theater's not doing well, you're not going to get it there.
All right, what's next?
All right, Jared Vester says, you got a gun to your head, choose one to erase the other one from existence, Lord of the Rings or The Godfather.
Okay, that's
just
a wrong question.
I decline to play the game. I decline to play the game. All right, what's next?
True Romance or Natural Born Killers, which do you prefer?
Natural Born Killers.
So different.
They're very different. I mean, I can see the comparison because there are similar qualities between the two of them. But I'll personally go Natural Born Killers.
All right.
Yeah, I preferred not watching either one of them.
All right, what's next?
All right. Jose says Grown-ish ended, and the episode was emotional to see Andre and Zoe, friends from previous seasons, on the finale. It's like Young Sheldon TV show.
Never watched any of the Ish shows, and I never watched Young Sheldon.
I watched Blackish. I liked it too. Yeah.
It's funny because the Anthony
not Edwards.
not Anthony Edwards. Who's the star of Black?
Now I want to say Towns. No, it's not.
No, it's not Anthony Towns.
Anthony.
I'm looking it up. Anthony Anderson.
Anderson. Thank you. I like him, but I don't know. There's a lot of sitcoms Network, a lot of network sitcoms I took passes on. Like I said, never watched Young Sheldon, never watched any of the Ish shows. So I don't really have a thought on those, unfortunately. All right, time for one more, then we'll call it a day. What's next?
All right. Slarf says, Benioff and Weiss have been greenlit to finish Three Body Problem until the end of the series. Death's End is perhaps a top sci-fi book ever for me, so I can't wait to see what they do next. And did you finish Three Body?
I did.
Okay.
I really enjoyed Three Body Problem.
Yeah.
I think it sucks that Netflix isn't going to let them do a season 2 and 3, and they're just going to let them do a couple more episodes to finish it off. Whatever. But I get it. It's an expensive show, all that kind of stuff. Netflix churns pretty quickly, whatever. Yeah. Benioff and Weiss have proven that Game of Thrones was not a fluke. I know there are a lot of people who didn't like the ending of Game of Thrones. I personally thought the ending of Game of Thrones was absolutely brilliant and foreshadowed completely. That being said, also won more Emmy Awards than any other of their seasons. Again, that's neither here nor there. But some people then like went on this ridiculous thing. Oh, they're actually idiots. They're stupid. They don't know how to make TV shows. Okay, then they do this. What Rob himself said, many people thought was completely unfilmable. Three Body Problem. There was an Asian version of the show that Rob said was like, he liked the show and everything, but it kind of showed why people thought the show was unfilmable. And they made a fantastic series. Fantastic series. They didn't go with some light, easy show to do either. They went for Three Body Problem and they killed it. I personally think so. I will be very, very interested in seeing what they do next. You know what it does though? After seeing Three Body Problem, it really bummed me out that they didn't end up doing their Old Republic Star Wars movies that they were going to do.
Oh,
Well,
remember that?
I think that was all a part of my problem. Is not where Game of Thrones ended or how narratively it took place. It's that it was completely rushed. And I believe they rushed it because they were trying to offload it to get to Star Wars. And then when that didn't work, they lost Star Wars.
That's my one big criticism, was that because it was nobody's fault. HBO told them they could have as many episodes as they wanted, and they just said, "No, let's just do 6 episodes." And that to me was the one big dumb decision they made. But other than that, in the scope of the most pop culturally successful television show ever in history,
I didn't mind how it ended. My problem was just it was squished.
Yeah, they did rush, and I wish they'd hadn't. All right, last question of the day. What's next?
I'm glad I didn't delete these. Eddie Baby says, Howdy loved watching Shogun, and at the time I was recommended Tokyo Vice. It made for a great weekly pairing as season 2 was airing simultaneously. Haven't heard it mentioned in the show recently. Any of y'all watch it? It's on my list, but I have not.
I have not watched it. Although Ken Watanabe's in it, isn't he?
Right.
Yep, Tokyo Vice.
And I love Ken Watanabe. You know what I think it was? Baby Driver Boy.
Oh,
you mean the actor from Baby Driver?
Yeah.
the guy in West Side Story.
Yeah.
No, that's
No, that's not El Gore.
Anyway,
yeah.
Anson Elgort.
Yeah.
I loved him in Baby Driver. I loved Baby Driver. And I liked him very much in West Side Story. There's something to me that's off-putting about Anson Elgort, though. I know, and I can't explain why, because I really like him in Baby Driver, and I really like him in West Side Story. But for some reason, I feel like most people do about me. I don't want to look at his face. I don't know why.
You know what? I've had something strange like that too, because like, you know, I'm loving Involved People, but for some reason there was a time where Vince Vaughn, he didn't do anything. He's charming. We met him at that one wrestling when he was with that Paige
Well, he came
wrestler.
to our studio and hung out for the day and hung out
But for
with us
some
for a
reason,
day.
there was a point in my life where I was like, I don't want to see this guy's face. But I don't know why. It was like so superficial and so dumb that I feel bad for it till this day.
But I keep hearing Tokyo Vice is good.
Yeah.
I keep hearing it's good. So maybe I should, now that I'm done, maybe before Acolyte, House of the Dragon, and The Boys comes back, maybe I should try to squeeze in Tokyo Vice now that I'm done.
I just don't like that it sounds like Alden Ehrenreich. If my brain has Alden Ehrenreich in my head, I cannot also think Ansel Elgort. It just breaks my brain.
It breaks the rules of the language. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making this little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Don't forget to come on back and join us for our Friday installment of the show tomorrow, where Chris Carr is going to be joining us. So for Raymond Ora,
Get out of my face, Vince Vaughn.
Jonathan Foyko,
Hey, I'll see you guys next week.
my name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.